News dump. Why do we fall? So we can learn to pick ourselves up. Batman, begin.
Michael Caine.
You see, Michael Caine posted that on X. He posted that quote, and then when he went to attribute, what the quote was from, he just wrote Batman Begin as if that was a part of the quote. Like that's, you know how in movies, when they say the title of the movie in the movie?
Right.
Yeah, it's like that. So it made me laugh.
Is that his thing now? He just posts lines from his movies, all fucking 180 movies he's been in?
That being the only tweet I've ever seen from him, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's his thing. I wouldn't mind that if that's his thing.
Because that really is one of my favorite things in cinema, is when they say the title of the movie in the movie.
And then a little finger gun when they do it.
Well, my favorite one, and maybe we could do a whole podcast on this. I might want to do a whole podcast on this, is saying the title of the movie in the movie. As of right now, my number one is from Mallrats, when Ben Affleck stands up in the crowd and points at Jason Lee and says, "You fucking Mallrat."
Well, that's not technically the title. Does that count?
I think that was the original working title that Kevin Smith wanted to do.
Singular.
News dump. Box office over the weekend, Deadpool has been dethroned by Alien Romulus, who won the weekend at $41.5 million domestic, $108 million worldwide. Deadpool dropped to almost 30 in its fourth weekend, but in the process became the highest grossing rated R movie of all time.
Glad to see that shitbag Todd Phillips and Joker be unseated.
All I can picture is an AI. You know how AI makes those things with like the Joker sitting on a throne with the crown on?
Yep.
And he has to get up and hand the crown over to Deadpool. AI, can you please make one of those? Can you make a full GIF of that? I know you've made a meme. Can you make a GIF? That reminds me of, and I know I said we need to keep this to 35 minutes, and I'm just going to keep doing reminding me of. Do you remember, I don't know who made it, but it's Heath Ledger's Joker, and then it's Joaquin Phoenix's Joker standing behind him with his hand on his shoulder, and he's like, "Don't worry, I'll get him, brother."
No, I do not recall that.
You don't search for things like that?
No. I'll tell you, this isn't quite the bold statement, I guess, but absolutely zero chance Joker 2 approaches the Deadpool and Wolverine number.
Do you think it makes $1 billion?
No. Nope. I think it might even have.
The budget has ballooned to 200 / over 200 million. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets close to $1 billion, though.
I don't even think it's going to double its money.
Do you want to make a bet?
Yeah.
Where do you want to set it?
Whatever double the budget is.
Okay, so let's say 500 million.
Okay.
Do you think it gets over or under 500 million?
Under.
Okay, I will take the over, and let's decide on a bet for that. Let's decide on a movie that I want to watch and you have to watch.
Okay.
And then we'll do a podcast on it. Maybe we do. How about this? If it makes over $500 million, we do a podcast for best movies that mention their movie title in the movie.
All right.
Yes. Yes. Woo! It ends with us dropped 50% to 24 million. Twisters just under 10 in its sixth week, I believe. But the big news of the big drop off over the weekend was Borderlands domestically falling 72%.
Off of what,
8
only
million.
9 million? Yeah.
Yeah.
In its second week. And also coinciding with this news is that it's going to be hitting streaming in like 2 weeks. So they're just chalking it up and saying, let's put it on VOD and see what happens.
As soon as it had that shitty weekend, they should have just pulled it like after that first weekend and said, okay, VOD next week, guys.
Yeah.
It'll be on Netflix in a month.
It grossed less than the 15-year re-release of Coraline. So that's not great.
Coraline is a nice Halloween spooky adjacent movie.
I've never actually seen it.
It's nice. It's like a spiritual successor to A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay. All right.
Kind of like The Corpse Bride. I mean, those are pretty similar movies, though.
Yeah, Corpse Bride wasn't great, though.
News dump. We saw some Wolverinepool. I wish they called it Wolverpool. That would have been cool.
That
But
sounds like a
Wolverinepool
British town.
concept art, yes, from David Masson, who is a costume illustrator at Marvel, and said this is one of the variants that did not make the cut. And I assume that he went like this when he said cut. Sorry, I made the. This is an audio podcast. We need to
Yeah.
describe my
Yeah,
act.
yeah,
I
yeah.
did the Wolverine.
Now, I didn't see this. So is this a concept, a mashup of Wolverine
Yeah.
and Deadpool?
It's a pretty cool mashup, actually.
Okay.
If they went and made some kind of a figure for it, I think you'd blow a wad,
Yeah. All right. Fair
or
enough.
you just buy it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, either way is possible.
Why not both? I would have. This would have been cool if after they went through all the variants at the end, this was what was waiting for them. Like
Yeah.
this was their final boss, maybe.
I'm a little surprised that we didn't see something like the Deadpool we got in Origins with like just the two katanas coming out of his arms.
Mm-hmm. Or you know what they also could have done is they could have made like you know how this Deadpool was really into like I'm finally in the MCU, I'm finally Disney. What if the final Deadpool at the end of the variants was someone who was resentful that he had to go to Disney?
Depressed pool.
There we go. News dump. Speaking of Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds has continued his online thanking of co-stars and others from the movie this past week, thanking Hugh Jackman for coming out of retirement and giving the people what they want, and then also thanking Rob Delaney, Peter Poole, and also sharing his regrets for not sharing an in memoriam for his son for Deadpool 2. He passed away at the age of 2 in 2018.
Yeah, and since Rob Delaney has written a book about that
Yeah.
passing and whatnot, and I think it's done pretty well, so he shared a link for that.
Yeah.
That's a tough call. Like, I don't when there's these huge, big blockbuster movies, like I don't like. I get why he has regrets not in memoriam
But
for a
he did
2-year-old.
say this one has been seen by a lot more people,
Yeah,
so it's
true.
kind of made up for it.
Very true. Very true.
News down. Do you want to handle the the Beau Demayo firing?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
there we go.
it's been months. I mean, when did X-Men 97 come out? In February or March?
It was definitely spring. Let's say spring.
Yeah, so it's been 6 months, essentially, since we found out Beau Demayo was fired off of the X-Men 97 project, having written the whole first season and a lot of the second season. And we are now learning details of alleged details of what happened for him to lose this gig. And also he was let go from The Witcher, apparently for similar behavior. Allegedly here, he sent nudes of himself in sexually suggestive hero poses to younger male staffers on this project, saying they should use it as inspiration. And this is just like a straight out of HR thing. Like you can't use your position of power to influence subordinates. So like aside from the sexual
Let's
thing,
also point this out too: is it's younger adult male staff.
yeah, it's not
People
children.
saw that and they're like, "Oh, he's a pedo." That's not what it is. He did bad things, obviously, but it's not that.
Yeah, and there's reportedly he had groped an assistant more than once, and he's emotionally and physically abusive. Again, this is all alleged. It does strike me as pretty bizarre that he has been so interactive with fans in light of all this, if this is all true. And that kind of tells you it seems like he doesn't have regrets, or he's not regretful because he hasn't. In my mind, if this stuff is true and he didn't get ahead of it, he's a real piece of shit.
Yeah, no, I think we agree that he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I think that was the TBD from our X-Men 97 episode, and now we both agree. Bad guy.
Yeah. Good writer, terrible person.
News dump. Got a trailer for Kraven the Hunter, and if you didn't see it when it first dropped at 3 a.m. last Wednesday or Thursday, I'm sure you've seen it since.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's essentially what we, I guess, would expect from this trailer. Again, I really love Aaron Taylor Johnson, and maybe he can save this movie. it got bumped back a couple months for some reshoots and to change some of the edit. My biggest takeaway from this whole trailer was the Rhino can now transform like the Hulk. Like, was that a thing he could ever do in the comics?
I have no idea. And then you also question, and I've had this song stuck in my head since seeing this, is that so his blood has been mixed with lion blood? And that's how he now has powers? He's Lion Man?
I don't. Yeah, I know that he's got like somewhat superhuman abilities. I don't know much about Kraven, to be quite honest with you. The only thing I know about Kraven is from the Spider-Man animated series. Again, I am into Aaron Taylor Johnson acting it up, but this just looks like your classic Sony piece of shit movie.
So now I just have Mumford and Sons stuck in my head.
Yeah, but
Lion Man, you're not as you're at the
start. Well, they also used a Johnny Cash song, and then instead of expanding the version of the song, he just repeated the same part of the song for the final like 45 seconds of the trailer, and I wanted to smash my head off a wall.
And all I can think of with that is my award-winning mashup of for the Logan trailer, where they used the Johnny Cash version of Hurt, and I mixed it with the guy that would change songs into All-Star. I'll repost that. You guys can check it out. News dump. Got a trailer for Kyle Mooney's Y2K. This is an A24 film set on December 31st, 1999, where computers and other technology come to life to kill you at midnight.
Yep. A24, produced by Jonah Hill. So you feel like this might be the utmost of comedic quality. I don't know about this one, Goo. It strikes
the trailer.
Yeah, it strikes me as something that would be a funny 5-minute SNL skit. I don't know if it would be a great hour-and-a-half movie or however long this is going to be. But what really encouraged me is Fred Durst pops up in this trailer. So if they're doing shit like that, I am going to like this.
Yeah, the first half of the trailer feels like Superbad. It feels like, two friends going to a party, he wants to hook up with a girl, and then it turns into like a B horror movie.
A little bit of like when you first discover the Transformers and Transformers, how they're like attacking people.
Or when you see Mars Attacks.
Yes, very much in the same vein.
News dump. My condolences, Mac.
As we go on.
Will he do it? Will he nail it?
Remember all the time we spent together.
Oh, God damn it, Mac.
I don't know. I still don't know.
The Acolyte has been canceled.
The Acolyte has been canceled by Disney. Not to say that I didn't see this coming. It's just unfortunate because it seemed like they had gotten the bullshit out of the way. Like what we were going to get going forward was pretty intriguing, and we're just not going to get it because people review bomb the shit out of it. And there was a good amount of people that legitimately didn't like it, but I also feel like there was a good amount of people that thought it was decent. And to me, that was enough to get season 2, but I guess not.
I saw a very funny meme of Palpatine talking to Anakin. He's like, have you ever heard the story of Darth Plagueis? And then it goes to Anakin. He's like, no, they canceled the Acolyte before season 2.
Maybe this gives them a chance to use what they were going to use in some other project, but I mean, you really set that up on a platter, and now we're just not going to get it. So,
news dump. Backyard Sports is back.
Best news of the week, Goo. Yeah. Nearly breaking. This was shortly before we started recording this. Playground Productions, the company that created Backyard Sports, announced this week that the beloved video game series is returning in the next few months with the same aesthetic of the games released in the late 90s and early 2000s. Love that. These games were a big part of Goo and I's childhood, and anyone kind of within 2 or 3, 4 years of us. And they are also not just doing video games. They're expanding into merchandise, television, and maybe some movies. So we'll see how that goes. But these games were fucking great. I hope they get some of the licensing from the sports leagues because it was cool to see the young versions of some of our beloved athletes. But this is important because one of the greatest fictional athletes of all time is Pablo Sanchez. So I'm happy to see Pablo Sanchez come out of retirement.
I thought the Kelsey brothers wanted to bring this back.
Jason Kelsey had mentioned this on their podcast, I think last year, how much he loved these as a kid, because he's right around the same age as us.
Which is
So
crazy to think about, like, that guy and us that were, the same species.
yeah, much more successful, much larger human, but
Yeah.
grew up the same time we did.
News dump. Michael Keaton don't care. While speaking to GQ, he was asked about the canceled Batgirl movie, and he said, I didn't care one way or another. Big, fun, nice check. And then he did one of these fingers back together when talking about money. And then he
Johnny
added,
Manziel.
I felt bad for the directors. Me, I'm good. I just
All
picture him being Beetlejuice all the time now, by the way.
all I could picture after I read this headline of yours is Daddy doesn't care.
Oh, you know what I
Take
thought
it
of
to the
was,
fair. It
Keaton
seems he
don't
doesn't
care.
care.
He loves it. And when he says he loves it, he loves the money. People have been pointing out recently that, like, actors in general don't care about the projects that they're on. They're just doing it for the money. That's what we all do for everything. We all just want money. Also, it seems like the actors that are talking about stuff like this, it's the older actors. It's Keaton, it's Harrison Ford, who, yes, are just doing this stupid stuff for money.
Yeah, a little peek behind the curtain for you, me, 90% of this planet is we're all doing everything to make more money. That's
Yeah.
sort of the whole point of this thing. And eventually, at some point, hopefully, you don't have to make any more money. But that's why you try to bust your balls a little earlier, I guess. I'm never going to blame someone for doing something for
Yeah, who
money.
cares?
Yeah.
Also, Keaton has pointed out prior to the Flash movie, with anything that has to do with the Vulture and the Spider-Man stuff with Morbius, he doesn't understand any of this, and he doesn't care to learn it.
He's like Harrison Ford.
Yeah, he's like, look, I don't understand multiverses, and they're kind of stupid, so I don't care. I don't want to learn about them.
Yeah.
I thought I was dead. News dump. Also speaking with GQ is Kit Harington, who said about the end of Game of Thrones, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I think there were mistakes made story-wise towards the end, maybe. I think there were some interesting choices that didn't quite work, but then said by the end of Thrones, everyone was so fucking tired and they couldn't go on any longer.
Yeah, this is, you could draw up a blame pie here, percentages left and right. What's her face, who played Daenerys, said something almost exactly the same like a year
It
ago.
makes so much sense though. You are so in this world with these long shooting schedules for what, like 9 years?
Right, right.
So you get it, because everyone, and I've done it too, is I've blamed the writers for wanting to move on to Star Wars, but it has to be a whole team thing.
Yeah, and they were playing the deep end at that point. They were off script, so the writers had to just create their own shit, not going off of what George R.R. Martin had created previously. And so that naturally leads to what happened. And you can look back and say hindsight, and maybe they should have waited until George finishes the books, but that motherfucker might never finish. So you can't
We might
really
all
do
be
that.
dead.
And like we talk about all the time, when we gotta wait like more than a year for a season, you start to lose interest. Now, obviously, that's different when you're 7, 8 seasons into something, but it does feel rushed ultimately. And the more time that we're removed, I think the more people start going back into season 7. Even they're like, this wasn't that great either,
Seven
because
wasn't that good. No,
they get again off script. So I don't know. Like, to me, me, I love the bookends. I love a good start. I love a good finish. I'm never going to watch a series knowing that everyone hates the ending of it. And like, you can also save a series though, like in the middle, if it gets off track and you come back and you nail the ending. So I don't know. This is just not a series I'm ever going to watch.
he was also asked about his Marvel character, and he said, I'm not going to pretend that I took the role because it was different or interesting. If Marvel calls, you got to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Unless your boys of Feige and can ask to play a role, I think when you're offered something with the potential of ending up in a massive Avengers movie and making millions and millions of dollars, again, money, you do have to take the role.
News dump. Boom! Tough acting to Nacton.
This is the most confusing news of the week, Goo.
Right, but when I saw the time frame of when this movie is set, it then made sense to me. So Nicolas Cage is set to play John Madden in a David O. Russell biopic, but the film follows the origin of the video game. So that makes complete sense to me that you aren't starting with him as a coach in the 70s and then having him get older and being a broadcaster. You are having him trying to work out the details of what he specifically wanted in his video game, because he made a point of saying, like, this has to be 11 on 11 and it has to be the closest thing to real or I'm not putting my name on it.
You know me, I'm a massive fan of the Madden franchise. I get the game every year. I play online every year. I'm a big fan of it. I don't think I'm that interested in this project. I did read, however, that it's going to be a biopic that's set during that time, but it isn't. I don't think it's going to be so heavily focused on the video game. I still think it's going to be pretty Madden centric, but I also wouldn't be surprised if there's a few minutes back, jumping back to when he was a coach and shit like that. Because John Madden looked old in the 70s and went all the way up and through the 90s, 2000s, and whatnot. So I think they're going to want to have Cage play a younger Madden at some point.
Hear me out. Corporate dramedy.
Yeah.
Corporate dramedy. I'm calling it right now. Goostradamus. News dump. I saw this yesterday. The Boys, Claudia Doumit. Is it Doumit? Doumit?
I think it's Doumit.
Okay. She has joined the cast of the M. Thregan spinoff, Solm-A-T. So it's spelled
this was a mistake.
ULM8, the number 8 TE.
Yep.
And I don't care anything about this movie anymore. The way that they have titled it, I'm out. I don't care.
Totally agree. I refuse to see this. The 8 encapsulates the T and the E. You don't need the T and the E. Give me Soul M8. That's all you needed. I don't know how they colossally fucked this up. This pisses me off. First of all, haven't seen Megan. Probably will never see that. But this pisses me off for I don't know why I'm so upset about it, but it was right there. And you fucked it. It's like Bad Boys Forever being the third movie and then coming out with
this
a fourth.
Is way worse.
They fucked it up royally.
This is way worse.
No, this is on the same level.
It has it in there. We've all used 8.
Bad Boys 3 being called Bad Boys Forever is also a massive misstep.
He was a skater boy. He said, see you later, boy. You can fill all those with 8s. News dump. A Poltergeist series is in the works at Amazon. Kalinda Vasquez and Robbie Thompson will serve as showrunners. This is via Variety.
So are you going to follow the lady that goes into the house? Is
Ruth?
The ghost lady?
Ruth, who looks like she could be my aunt?
Like, I don't understand.
Like my family.
Are you going to have one-off episodes with all sorts of poltergeists?
Ooh, okay, so not the same house every week.
I don't think it would be the same house.
Poltergeist. Okay, you know what? I like this.
I think that's the only really way you could go with a series is unless you did a mini series. But if you want to do a series of multiple seasons, I don't think you could focus on the same ghost and same house.
Do you know when this is coming out?
No clue.
Okay, so this has to come out next September then, because if it's not set for this September, it has to be next September.
Possibly.
This is a spooky show. It can only come out during spooky season.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Don't serve this to me in the spring. I'm not looking to be spooked in the spring. News dump. Speaking of being spooked by a television show, Friday the 13th, A24's Friday the 13th, a prequel series is still happening. The show is called Crystal Lake.
Explain to me what they could possibly do here. Because the first Friday the 13th gives you a little bit of a Jason backstory. So what is this is going to be the summer that Jason drowns?
That's what I was going to ask you. And then do you just not tell the audience who Jason is so you're anxious that any child could die? Because I don't want to watch that.
I don't really know. So this is just going to be Wet Hot American Summer, except with a twist at the end of the season. I don't get what's going to go on here.
Hey, Barbara, are you watching those kids? No, I'm too busy fucking right now. I was holding a phone up to my ear to describe what I was doing right there.
Yeah.
That's a piece of dialogue from the show. I ripped it right from there.
I think that's word for word an actual scene.
News dump. An animated Ted show is in the works. Of course, Seth MacFarlane's Ted. Are you in on this? Because I think I'm cool with just getting the show. I enjoy the show. Why are we trying to once again water down Ted?
Well, here you go. This is exactly why, Goo, because season 2 of the show was nearly canceled due to its $8 million per episode production cost. So that's not even including
Peacock,
everything else.
The highest watched show of all time.
It was a well-received season 1, But I think they're thinking they can produce maybe 75% of what the live action show gave you for much cheaper. And they might be right about that.
So
They
what
could be right
you're
about that.
telling me is that what they might do is they'll do a live action season 2, and then they'll just slowly morph it into animated.
Oh, well, actually, if anyone could pull that off, it would be Seth MacFarlane. But I wonder if they just kind of reboot the whole thing. But that's a pretty penny for a show that was received well. I just don't know how many people actually watched it.
News dump. R.I.P. Rachael Lillis. And if you don't know that name, you know her voice. She played both Misty and Jesse on Pokemon. She has passed away at the age of 46 from cancer. One of those voice actors that you just never think of. And then when you're like, wow, she played both of those characters. Nice, not bad.
Did she do it when she was 18? Because that show came out an awfully long time ago.
97, I believe.
Yeah, so that was 27 years ago.
That makes sense. But let me ask you this. When there's trouble, say it. You know the line.
You didn't start it correctly.
Oh, what's the proper way?
Not when there's trouble.
Okay, well then start it the proper way then.
Oh, something on the double. Jesse,
yeah, I know. I thought if it when there's trouble, make it double.
Oh,
right?
You might be right. Yeah, I think you were right. I was wrong. Yeah,
to
Jesse,
with devastation. Jesse, James, and Meowth.
That's right.
There we go. That was a really weird origin episode when you found out how Meowth was able to talk. Not my favorite.
Yeah.
That was I saw yesterday on Instagram, someone made a joke about like you would rush home from school to watch Yes Dear, which I did watch every episode of Yes Dear. But I would rush home, it was like what, 97, 98. You would rush home every day to watch the WB and check out Pokemon.
Yeah, you try to catch TRL, but also we were in that crossover era where we're still watching cartoons. So it was a good time to be alive. That's for
Great time to be alive. News dump. Furiosa is now streaming on Max. Mac, I think you love the movie.
I didn't love it. I thought it was vastly superior to Fury Road.
I don't agree with that, but yeah.
Fury Road, you just have no rooting interest. You kind of hope everyone dies.
Whereas this one literally has roots in it.
This has a pretty sweet revenge story mixed in here. And I found myself much more intrigued by this movie than Fury Road. This, like Fury Road, starts off real rough. CGI stinks, and it takes a while to get going. But once we were into the story, I actually really, really enjoyed this movie. So I liked it way more than Fury Road.
All right, and maybe we'll have a what have you been watching lately? We'll pop that in there. Also, Chris Hemsworth is great in that movie.
Just
a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Good. So
News dump. Speaking of being able to be streamed, stream as in water. Ooh. This week we'll be talking about Waterworld at the end, and it is right now in all of its glory on Peacock.
Yep, looking forward to that. Another thing on Peacock is another 2024 release, The Bike Riders.
Oh,
I
that's
also
right.
caught this weekend, Goo. I liked it quite a bit.
I was going to watch The Bike Riders, and then I opted for Waterworld, and the first 10 minutes really slapped me in the dick. I forgot how much they jammed in the first 10, 15 minutes of that movie. Jeez
I would say
Louise.
I would say both about The Bike Riders and Furiosa. Flawed movies that I enjoyed better than most of what we've seen this year. They're both in my top 10. Obviously vastly different movies, but the acting in The Bike Riders is fucking A+.
Would your carrot sign be facing Waterworld, though?
We'll see about that on the rewatch.
I'm only halfway through. I fucking Sleepy Joe'd it, but
yeah.
I had fun in my hour. I had a lot of fun.
Love that
fucking,
for you.
Very confusing music choices, but swashbuckling.
Yeah.
R-rated swashbuckling.
There you go. There's oceans.
It's R-rated,
There's
right?
Water. I don't know.
It's wet.
I don't know if I've ever seen it in the non-cable TV version or like not on UPN.
A lot of yelling too. It's a lot. My short review. Lots of yelling. And the music is bonkers. It's all over the place.
Love that.
News dump. And finally, we just ran what's it called on social media?
Oh, a giveaway.
A giveaway. I can't say what the giveaway is, but I just need to use this platform right now to ask Sean P. Bissio to please step forward and claim your prize.
Come on down.
Everyone else has already gotten it. They all love it. They all thanked me so much. But also, I want to thank everyone who participated because reviews just keep us alive.
And the mid-month, midweek, midday giveaway.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to the next one.
I'm hoping that we have a next one.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we are not given something to give away, I guess we'll just start finding stuff around the house to give away.
Yeah, we'll start giving away Funko Pops that we can't fit in our houses.
I have an attic filled with Funko Pops that I don't know what to do with.
Yeah. Rafi will play with them one day.
It'd be like bringing in your old DVD collection to like a thrift shop, being like, I have 500 DVDs. And then they say, I'll give you $20.
You're like, yeah, yep, I'll take it.
That's not bad. I can afford almost a sandwich with that. Fucking inflation, man.
Yeah.
Fucking inflation. Let's start getting polycharged with inflation stuff. Eggs used to cost $2.19 for a dozen.
I got a dozen, I believe, for like $2.89 at Target the other day.
Oh, Target has good prices, though. Target sells
Yeah.
milk at good prices, eggs at good prices. But then if you have to, slum it down to Star Market or anything like that, or God forbid, I'd have to do this sometimes too. I bought a gallon of milk at a gas station the other day for $7.
I was in Target getting something, and I was like, you know what? I might as well just grab a couple things while I'm in here.
Yeah.
And they had like the farm-raised eggs, but those were like $9.
You get them good and gather?
I said, no, thank you.
Yeah.
So I just got their standard eggs. It was like, I think it was $2.89 for a dozen. I said, but sign me up. Why not?
I need jumbos, though. I need jumbos.
Yeah, it is. I'm at the point now with like these regular eggs. I have to crack 4 eggs to really make a dent.
You know what I never find anymore is double yolks.
I don't know if I've ever seen a double yolk. I've seen it on social media. I don't know if I've personally seen a double yolk.
Oh,
I know.
my Lord.
Yeah.
Tell us, guys, go to social media right now. Have you ever seen a double yolk?
Send us your double yolk pics.
All we want for the remainder of 2024 is just photos of double yolks. All right, check us out at the end of the week for Waterworld News Dump.